In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement, the weekly show that keeps you in the know about all things retirement. I'm your host and financial advisor, Rick Everett, and if you're joining us for the first time, welcome in. If you're one of our many regular viewers, welcome back. We've assembled a full complement of panelists for this episode to include Larry Kloefkorn, a founding partner and financial advisor with Market Advisory Group, Joshua Cicora, our lead CPA with Market Tax Services, Cory Hiebert with Market Medicare Advisors, and Gerald Eidelman of Eidelman Law Firm, our estate planning attorney. Welcome in, everyone. We've got a lot to cover today. Larry, I'm going to start with you. A lot of our clients come to us after having been involved with one of the box store advisory firms, and you have a husband and a wife set of clients that came to you because they felt their previous financial advisors had failed to meet their needs. Isn't that right?
That is right. I've encountered actually multiple cases of this, and so it was fresh on my mind for today's episode because it has been coming up a lot. And in this case, these people had had quite a journey with financial guidance, and you might say that they started losing faith in their advisors. In fact, advisors in the industry, taking that even further, as we are fiduciaries, they had worked with some other fiduciaries, and even they felt let down from working with fiduciaries that they couldn't meet face-to-face with. And the performance during bull markets, they felt they were falling behind. They weren't keeping up. They weren't gaining. The account balances weren't going up. And so the frustration was mounting and building. And I could sense the exasperation that they had, and that they were obviously looking for something. It's like they wanted a lifeline.
Well, set us up with the scenario. Tell us what their situation was that brought them to you.
Okay, so they had been dealing with and using financial money management and financial planning firms that are well known. These are big brand, nationally known. They advertise nationally. Everything just looks so good to work with them because they project that they are special, that they have expertise that no one else can offer. And so in their experience, they had moved their money to those reputable firms, but just did not live up to expectations. And that was exceedingly frustrating to them.
So in what way did the big box store not meet the client's expectations?
Well, for one, they never really felt personable. All they could do was speak on the phone. So whenever they did have a meeting together, then the phone was either their only option or possibly Zoom or some other avenue of that sort. And they thought going into it, and they were assured, that was part of it too, they were assured by the advisors that this would be no problem, that they would feel it seamlessly as if they were just right there on hand. But anytime that they felt they needed to call in and get help, there was a hold time involved. They didn't get a direct line to the advisor. I asked them, I said, did you always get the same advisor each time, or was sometimes the case where, you got whoever was available? And they had told me that most of the time they could get to their advisor, but it would have to come through a return call.
Now, sadly, this isn't the first time you've encountered this.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I've run across this a number of times, and that's why it's really, been on my mind. I thought it was a good thing to talk about right now. The more times that a person can actually make a person-to-person connection with their financial advisor, they pick up a lot more than just voice. They're actually able to read their body language. They're actually able to freely ask questions back and forth and not have to worry about the technology only capturing part of what they say. And so I've found more and more that people are really looking for someone that they can sit at the same table with, and that they can do so often as needed. And then, of course, we offer additional benefits to that at Market Advisory Group. This is something that you don't get face-to-face with someone with most firms here in town. Market Advisory Group is particularly unique because we bring in other experts. We bring in other specialists that can truly help address matters that need expertise. And that's why we have a panel up here. That's why it's not just me as a financial advisor sitting here and talking, but rather we have a collaboration that takes place.
Joshua Cicora, our lead CPA with Market Tax Services, articulate, if you would, on the advantages of actually being face-to-face in real time with our clients.
Yeah, I think one of the big things when Larry and I work together where our clients see a benefit in us being at the same table at the same time is when we get into later in the year and we start doing a lot of tax planning with our clients. So Larry and I sit at the same table, we visit with the client, we talk about their income, we talk about what assets they have, we talk about different strategies, different transactions that they may want to undergo to change their long-term tax answer. And because Larry and I are both sitting at the same table at the same time, then not only do I say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you have options of this, and then they don't have to take that information and go back to their financial advisor and say, okay, well, he said this, and I think he said something about this, but I didn't quite understand. What do we do with that? Larry and I are there working together. We're saying, okay, we can do these range of options. And then Larry's like, okay, boom, here's what we're going to do. And here's what we're going to do with those dollars. So being able to not force the client to carry this information between professionals, hoping they get everything right, hoping they understand the jargon, hoping they understand what the plan is, that provides relief because the responsibility is off their shoulders. They need to make a decision still, but all the information, both from the tax side and the investment side, are laid out all together at the same time.
And it's not like that game of telephone where you're telling a person one thing and then hoping the next person gets the message right. I don't know about the rest of you, but I myself feel handicapped if I can't be in front of that person, because it's not so much just the client being able to read the financial advisor or the tax CPA's body language, but we as those professionals need to be able to see our client's reaction.
It's true. That is very true. And it's hard to put into words, really, just what an advantage and how much that improves the overall experience. But you know what? Experience is important, but results, now we're talking about something.
Do you have an entire team looking out for your best interest in retirement that you can meet with face-to-face with the whole team to get the complete pieces of the puzzle all put together? At Market Advisory Group, that's exactly what we do. A holistic approach to retirement planning, and we do it all under one roof for your convenience. Operators are standing by right now if you'd like to set up a complimentary, no-obligation consultation with our team. The number to call, 316-252-8707. And be sure and check out our website at ionretirement.com. We'll be back with more of the show right after this.
When people work with Market Advisor Group, they get a feel of sense of family. There's a lot of relationships that are made and going on in this conference room, and we really take a lot of pride in that and a lot of satisfaction in that.
Every client we work with, we make a custom-made plan to fit them and help reach their goals in life. Another thing that makes us unique is we want to meet regularly with our clients and have reviews.
Market Advisory Group, we have a process, and the process we take people through is first to understand what they have, understand who they are, and then we put together an income plan for them and show them how they can look forward to retirement and not look, though retirement is going to be a stressful time. It needs to be a stress-free time.
A few unique features of working with Market Advisor Group is holistic in-house financial consultants. We've got an in-house CPA, Joshua, an in-house estate planning attorney, Gerald, an in-house Medicare advisor, Bill. We rely on all of those professionals for, again, additional service within our consultative process, making sure that we've got the advice and the expertise behind the recommendations that we make.
You know, as an advisor, I'm not there to sell them one way or the other. I'm there to educate them, to let them know what their choices are. Then I try to help them make the right choice where they can save money and feel confident in their decision.
Absolutely the best part of my job is getting a stack of paperwork from somebody and they don't know what to do, and then I can turn around and give them back a tax return, but also to be able to explain what they can do next year that will give them a better answer than what they had this year.
When we've got clients that are calling and they need to help out a child or need to help out a grandchild or need to help themselves out and they're in a situation they didn't expect to be in, I really relish the opportunity to help them through that, help them make the educated decisions in somewhat stressful situations, because a lot of folks don't have that type of counsel.
We meet with so many people one-on-one in this office that don't ever end up becoming a customer or doing business with us, and that's okay. But when they leave our office, we know that we've helped them either get some answers to some of the questions they had or get some clarity on maybe their own path.
But one of the things that we hear all the time is, I wish I would have met you guys 10 years ago, because how much further could I be down the road? Well, Johnny Appleseed said, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. And so if we can help people today going forward, that just brings an incredible amount of comfort and excitement for us to come to work every day.
Hi, and welcome back into Eye on Retirement. In this episode, we're visiting about the importance and necessity of being able to meet face-to-face with your financial planner or an entire team that's working for you, such as what we have here at Market Advisory Group. You know, Larry, just this week, I met with a client for the first time that came to us from watching Eye on Retirement, and they're with one of the big box store financial advisory firms. And the comment that was made halfway through our initial consultation was, Rick, you know more about us than the financial planner that we've worked with for the last 5 years.
And that happened because you were sitting there together.
Mm-hmm.
You
Taking
were
the time.
spending time. And probably before them becoming clients, you've met with them 2, 3, maybe even 4 times. And so you're really, truly developing a relationship that'll work. And then when we are able to bring in these collaborators that are experts in their fields, I can't tell you how valuable that is that we put it all together. Here's another thing. I can't tell our listeners and our viewers out there just how truly dedicated these advisors are to knowing their field. They don't take it lightly, and they continually re-educate themselves and stay up on the latest facts.
Cory Hiebert, Market Medicare Advisors. Medicare is a critical part of retirement planning. And I know you have to feel the advantages of being able to meet face-to-face with your clients rather than somebody just calling a 1-800 number of operators sitting there dialing for dollars, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. And it's anybody that's 63 and over knows already that you're going to be seeing commercials on a regular basis, and you're going to be getting phone calls on a regular basis. Within those commercials, you're seeing plans that are advertised nationally and aren't available to the general public. Maybe they are special needs plans or for individuals that live in certain zip codes, hence the common tagline you hear, call today and check your zip code. They're not out there looking out for your best interest. They are there so that you can call and they can say, oh, no, that plan's not available for you, but I got this other thing that I think you'll really like. It's not uncommon that the first thing that we do whenever we meet clients is we are gathering information. We're asking about what doctors they're currently seeing, what underlying conditions they currently have, what medications they're taking. We're not asking these questions to be snoopy or invade people's privacy. We're asking these questions because the answers to those questions drastically affect what choices you're going to make within your Medicare decisions. And people over the phone, they're not asked those questions. They're asked, what zip code do you live in? Oh, perfect. Let's just put you into this plan. And there's no consideration. Medicare is a very individually based system. And if you're working with somebody that you've only met over the phone or you've seen advertised on TV, they're not there to learn about your situation. They're there to sell you something, hang up the phone, and move on to their next client.
Gerald Eidelman, our estate planning attorney with Eidelman Law Firm. I'm sure it can be done. I'm sure you could negotiate an estate over the phone, but would that be preferable?
No, it would not. I have part of my process is to be able to get to know the person. And despite the best technology in the world, like Zoom and other things, that I do have meetings, there's nothing like interacting with the person across the table. There is a value that I get there that allows me to dig into their circumstances that I couldn't otherwise. You get to see the reaction to some of the things you say, and this becomes invaluable. And, you talk about meeting people, client, face-to-face. I had a client that came to us, and they didn't meet face-to-face. What they had done is they hired a company that hired an attorney in Kansas City. They drafted a plan for them. They sent them the documents, and 3 years later, they came to me to make sure the documents were okay. Well, guess what? The documents had never been signed. All they had was basically a ream of paper with no value whatsoever. And that's what you can get if you are not being guided directly by a professional.
And we see those commercials on TV too, or the radio commercials for legalforms.com or whatever, and people maybe thinking they can accomplish things that way. Huge difference than meeting with an actual estate planning attorney and doing it face-to-face with the laws pertinent to the state you're doing it in.
Absolutely.
Do you have an entire team looking out for your best interest? Can you meet with them face-to-face? Sure, many of you have a financial advisor or a CPA perhaps even, or an estate planning attorney. But do they come together around the conference table with you looking out for your best interest? At Market Advisory Group, that's exactly what we do. A holistic approach to retirement planning, and we do it all under one roof for your convenience. If you'd like to set up a complimentary no-obligation consultation, the number to call is 316-252-8707. We'll be back with the rest of the show right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hi, and welcome into the final segment of this week's edition of Eye on Retirement, where we're talking about the necessity, the personalization, and the relationship that comes with meeting face-to-face with your retirement professionals. Larry, let's talk a little bit about the volatility of the current economic climate.
There is a great deal of volatility. We all know what's in the news right now that's driving it. And guess what? Once it's resolved, there'll be something else around the corner. The volatility needs to have an approach to it that gives people a multifaceted approach. You know, I don't think I can explain enough that most of our industry, the advisor's approach to diversification and dealing with volatility is, let's just hold on to what we have, it'll come back. Here's the other thing, because they built your portfolio to be made up of a ratio between equities and stocks or fixed income, otherwise being bonds. And they're told that that way you have something that's going to give you some performance when the market's doing well, and something that's going to give you some kind of protection when the market's going down. But what you have actually is that fixed income portion is usually just flat. So it's like sitting in cash almost. But the other portion, it is going crazy with the market. And I just find that that's a very inefficient way today. It's crazy, Rick, that even new advisors in the industry are being taught this same old school approach. And I think it's just of utmost importance that we find new ways of having risk management, and that risk management can help them during those volatile times. That risk management isn't just a one-way deal, but that you have several different levels of risk management that's addressing it in several different ways, and that automatically has you set up at the same time for if a bull market begins or an uptrend begins, so that you can participate in that. You're ready-made to participate.
You know, we've often heard or been taught or heard from our parents that diversification is key. I don't know about you, but I've seen some portfolios come through our doors and it's like diversification on steroids, to where they're all over the place and there doesn't seem to be a common theme going in any one direction.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. And also a part of our analysis, a lot of times we'll have a section about stock intersection, it's called, where it will show all these different diversified mutual funds or ETFs, but it shows that each one holds about the same kind of instruments. In fact, a lot of them will have the exact same stocks represented in them. So you have all these different funds, and it's supposed to be set up so that you're diversified, when in fact, if you really dig inside of them, it's not all that diversified. And so when we approach these different ways of building a portfolio for someone, we build it also that we can make adjustments and we navigate. I've had several people who would call and say, things seem to be going pretty well, really, but do we need to get together and talk? And I'll say, let's come on in. I know your appointment may be for another month or so, but come on in. Let's talk about this. and see if we need to make any adjustments, because it is so important that you're able to navigate and be able to adjust to the current situations. And then as soon as that changes, make sure that you are able to, again, make an adjustment and navigate that.
Joshua Cicora, a quick sidebar since we brought up the word diversification. Is there such a thing as tax diversification?
Yeah, there sure is. So people, when they save for retirement, when they invest, they can do it in different fashions. There can be a non-taxable bucket, such as a Roth IRA. There can be a tax-deferred bucket, such as your traditional IRA, your 401k. And there's, it's called non-qualified, but it's like partially taxable, and that's just a brokerage account, right? Or savings account or something like that. And so when people come in the door, they often come in with just one of those buckets. And so we talk about spreading things out so they've got tax diversification as well.
Larry, real quick, a final thought.
Yes, and that is, I don't think we emphasize this enough to people, that we not only are working on your case when we're sitting with you and when you're in our office, but even behind the scenes, in between meetings, we are collaborating. We're working on cases that are important to make sure we don't miss something.
If you'd like to set up your complimentary no-obligation consultation, operators are standing by right now at 316-252-8707. That's all the time we have this week. I'm Rick Everett, along with the entire team, reminding you that we're here to keep an eye on retirement.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Eidelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. All rights reserved.